Welcome back to the Deep Dive, the show where we take a monumental stack of history, culture, and surprising trivia and distill it into pure, satisfying knowledge. Today we are putting Tokyo's oldest and arguably most charismatic district under the microscope, Asakusa. For many, it's instantly recognizable by that massive, fiery red lantern hanging beneath the Kaminariman, the Thunder Gate. Yeah, that picture. But that iconic snapshot, it hides 1,000 years of spiritual history, doesn't it? A foundation built on a miracle pulled from a river. And a sometimes scandalous, incredibly vibrant legacy as Edo's absolute premier entertainment district. Our mission today, guided by the fascinating sources you provided, is to travel through time and connect the dots. We want to understand precisely how Asakusa transformed. From a quiet, sacred river mouth into the roaring capital of entertainment it became during the Edo period. And critically, what surprising modern treasures and local lore keep it thriving today.
And that deep historical context is essential because Asakusa has always thrived on contradiction. It's existed as a perfect, energetic blend of the sacred and the secular, what the Japanese call seizoku.
Seizoku. Sacred and secular.
Exactly. It was never just a quiet temple town. From the moment the first temple structure went up, it was destined to become, well, a colossal wonderland. This area drew everyone. Powerful samurai trying to convert their rice stipends into cash, wealthy merchants eager to spend those fortunes, and the common people seeking the best theater, the best fashion, and the wildest nightlife in the entire country. We're going to trace that single thread, the connection between the Sacred Heart, Senso-gesha, and the bustling, often profane life outside its gates, because that relationship, it really defines Asakusa.
Okay, let's unpack this. And we're starting exactly where you said. The original sacred root of the area, which all begins with a miracle involving a river and a fishing net in the 7th century. It's almost impossible to imagine modern Tokyo without Senso-ji, but its origin is wonderfully humble and dates back almost 1,400 years. We are talking about the year 628 AD, during the time of Emperor Suiko.
Right.
This isn't just an old temple. It holds the title of Tokyo's oldest.
It's the absolute historical and spiritual anchor of the entire Kanto region. And the founding story, it really sets the precedent for everything that followed. Picture the scene. Two fisherman brothers, Hinokuma Hamanari and Hinokuma Takanari, are working the Sumida River. Back then, it was known as the ancient Uruma River, right near the river mouth and the sea.
Okay.
They were casting their nets repeatedly, but instead of the catch they were hoping for, they kept scooping up this small sacred statue.
A statue? And what kind of sacred image are we talking about here? It's referred to as a Kannon statue.
Correct, Kannon, the sacred image of the Bodhisattva of compassion, probably one of the most widely venerated figures in Mahayana Buddhism,
Right.
The fishermen, they tried repeatedly to discard the statue. They thought it was like interfering with their fishing, but it just kept reappearing in their nets.
Wow. Persistent statue.
Definitely. So finally, they brought it ashore at the area that is now the location of the smaller Komagata Dutol.
So it's a story of persistence and ultimately realization. They finally got the message.
Yes. They were simple fishermen, you see, but a local notable, a man named Hajino Nakatomo, he recognized the profound significance of this miraculous Fina deity choosing to appear right there in the river. He immediately dedicated his own home to serve as the initial temple to enshrine the statue. This act is the true beginning of Senso-ji, though the temple itself wouldn't be completed for many years afterward.
And what's truly fascinating is how those three individuals, the two fisherman brothers and the local notable Hajino Nakatomo, aren't just footnotes in a history book. They literally become the deities, the Sanjasama, enshrined at the adjacent Asakusa shrine.
That connection is vital. It means that the spiritual foundation of Asakusa isn't just based on some high-ranking cleric or a political decree. It's based on three common people. Two fishermen and a local householder.
Ah, that's interesting.
Yeah, this common man origin gives Asakusa an inherently popular, sort of accessible spiritual base. And this is the entire historical foundation for one of Tokyo's most explosive, dynamic annual events. The Sanja Matsuri.
The Sanja Festival.
Right. The festival is literally celebrating the people who found the Kannon statue. It's all tied together.
Now let's look at the geography that allowed this settlement to flourish. Asakusa wasn't hidden away in the mountains or anything.
No, not at all. It was strategically located near the mouth of the river, making it the vital Asakusa Minato, an important port and transportation route leading straight into Musashi Province.
So easy access.
And that accessibility made it a natural hub. Furthermore, the area where Senso-ji was established sits atop this micro-elevation known as the Asakusa Plateau.
Plateau, like noticeably higher.
It's subtle, but crucial. This slight height offered protection from the regular, devastating floods that plagued the lower land around the Sumida River. This geographical advantage allowed the temple and the surrounding settlement to develop consistently and endure through centuries of potential disaster. It was a natural focal point for both maritime trade and worship.
Makes sense. Okay, speaking of the area, the name Asakusa itself has some intriguing theories behind it. Our sources present a couple of compelling possibilities beyond just, the obvious geographic one.
Well, the straightforward theory is topographical, yeah. Meaning shallowly growing grass, kusega asaku shikiru.
Shallow grass. Okay.
It reflects the early, less developed, sort of marshy nature of the land near the riverbank. It's practical, but perhaps a bit dull.
But then you have the linguistic theories, which suggest maybe a deeper, more exotic origin, hinting at its importance even before the canon discovery.
Precisely. One theory suggests derivation from the Ainu language, specifically Asakusa, meaning crossing the sea, referencing its location as a key crossing point.
Crossing the sea.
Okay. Another even more intriguing theory posits a Tibetan origin, Asakusa, meaning place of the saint.
Wow, Tibetan.
Yeah. Even if these aren't historically provable, they speak to the perception that this place, this river mouth, was significant enough to potentially draw ancient influence from far afield. It adds a layer of mystique.
Regardless of where the name came from, the sanctity of that water, the Sumida River, became a core defining part of Asakusa's identity after the canon statue appeared.
And this isn't just mythology. It translated into real political action. We have a remarkable historical fact from 1692 during the Genroku era. The shogunate issued an edict explicitly prohibiting killing, meaning fishing or hunting, in this very part of the river near Komagata-do.
Wait a minute, that's nearly a millennium after the temple was founded. Seriously. So the shogunate, the ultimate political authority, was willing to sacrifice a potential fishing resource, a food supply, and commercial activity, just to protect a religious myth from 1,000 years prior.
That's the core of the insight. It demonstrates the almost insurmountable political weight and spiritual reverence the Sensoji myth commanded. The river was not simply a transportation route. It became a holy boundary protected by government decree. This initial religious prohibition created a space, a zone of quiet dignity, that existed right alongside the burgeoning chaos of Edo. This respect for ancient spiritual law is what allowed the sacred element of Asakusa to endure, even as the secular exploded around it.
So we have a foundation built on a miracle, pulled from a holy river, situated on protected high ground, giving us Tokyo's oldest and most revered temple. But that spiritual foundation, as you mentioned, quickly became intertwined with the chaotic, lively, and ultimately secular world of Edo. We move now from the shrine to the stage. As Edo, the seat of the new Tokugawa shogunate, grew rapidly, the government was fixated on control, maintaining order, suppressing dissent, and, controlling the population's moral compass.
Yeah, definitely.
This brings us to a crucial, often overlooked element: political necessity driving the creation of an entertainment hub.
It's the perfect example of unintended consequences, really. The shogunate was extremely focused on public morality, or fuki. They believed popular entertainment, particularly the wildly popular kabuki and jururi puppet theater, was a threat.
A threat? Why? What specifically was so threatening about a puppet show or a play? Seems harmless enough.
Well, several reasons. First, some of the more popular plays, especially those written by Chikamatsu Manzemon, featured morally ambiguous or even tragic themes like double suicide, Shinju Mono.
Okay. Double suicide plays.
Right. The government feared these plays would inspire citizens to commit similar acts, leading to social unrest and defying the Confucian moral order they were trying to impose.
Makes sense from their perspective, I guess.
And second, the theaters themselves were massive, often poorly constructed wooden buildings in a dense city like Edo, built mostly of wood and paper.
Constant fire hazard.
Exactly. A constant looming fire hazard.
So, because of fuki concerns and fire concerns, the shogunate decreed that popular entertainment could not be built anywhere near Edo Castle, which is present-day Hyoda Ward, the political and administrative heart of the city. They wanted it far away.
Correct. Physically and morally separated. As theater popularity grew, more and more playhouses sprang up, forcing the government to formalize this segregation through a series of edicts.
And this formalized segregation hit its peak during one of the Edo period's major crackdowns.
The
Tenso's forms. That was a famous period of conservative political intervention instituted around 1841, wasn't it?
That period dramatically shaped the geography of Asakusa forever. Following a major fire that ravaged the Nakamuraza Theater in Ningyuchi,
Right, the fire.
the shogunate acted decisively. The decision was made. All major playhouses, and they meant all of them, were forcibly moved out of central Edo.
And their mandatory relocation site was Asakusa.
It was. Specifically, the area known as Sarawakachu, which is today's Asakusa 6-Chumune. The government needed a site that was geographically separate from the political center, but still highly accessible to the masses. And the river port of Asakusa, already anchored by the famous Sensuji, was the logical choice.
The result was an immediate and profound cultural shift. Asakusa officially became the town of theater Shibai no Manshi, like overnight.
And quickly. The three major kabuki theaters, Nakamuraza, Ichimuraza, and Moritaza, grouped in this newly designated area, became known collectively as the Sarawaka Sansa. This single political action didn't just move some theaters. It instantly made Asakusa the undeniable center of youth culture, fashion, and the performing arts, a role it retained for well over a century. The actors who worked there were the highest paid celebrities, the absolute idols of the era.
But theater alone doesn't sustain a booming district that can support 3 major playhouses, plus countless other minor stages, right?
No way.
For Asakusa to truly thrive, it needed patrons with incredible disposable cash. And that's where the financial infrastructure comes into play, starting, unexpectedly, with rice.
This is truly the key to understanding Asakusa's massive cultural spending power, the economic engine provided by the Asakusa Okura. This was the massive government rice warehouse established nearby in Kuramae.
Okuda, the rice warehouse.
Yeah. This stored the rice that functioned as the economy's backbone, not just consumption rice, but the rice used for samurai stipends. In Edo, Japan, rice was currency.
And you can't have currency without people willing to handle and exchange it. That financial function was performed by the fudasashi, the rice exchange merchants.
The fudasashi were, in essence, the bankers, brokers, and maybe even the venture capitalists of Edo. They specialized in converting the rice stipends paid to samurai into spendable cash, taking a hefty commission for the exchange.
Ah, so they were the middlemen.
Big time. And they accumulated immense wealth, not just from the fees, but by then strategically lending their profits back to the often impoverished samurai at interest. Plus, they dominated the wholesale and retail rice markets. They really understood compound wealth before almost anyone else.
So they were simultaneously brokers, commodity dealers, money lenders, and speculators. It's no wonder they became the high rollers, suddenly possessing vast liquid fortunes that few other commoners could claim.
They were the financial titans outside the official shogunate structure. These fudasashi became the quintessential big spenders and the essential patrons of the newly centralized entertainment district. They weren't just attending the arts. They were financing the culture, setting the trends, and hosting the most spectacular events. Our sources note they were famous for their lavish parties.
Oh, yeah.
Renting out entire theaters like the Nakamuraza for private showings, or indulging in magnificent boat rides known as funayubi on the Sumida River, complete with geisha and expensive cuisine. Living large.
Because they had the money and the lifestyle, they also became the cultural elite, the connoisseurs of style and flair, known as the sujin.
The sujin were the tastemakers. They dictated what was stylish, witty, and sophisticated. The wealth of the fudasashi elevated them to this status. Some of the most famous among them were known as the Juhachi Daichu, the 18 Great Sujin.
18 Great Sujin.
These men were the cultural influencers and, the fashion leaders of their day. They possessed this sophisticated knowledge of kabuki, cuisine, and wit that went far beyond just having money.
Give us an example of how their influence translated into culture, something specific.
Okay, the character of Sukeroku. He's one of the most famous and dashing heroes in kabuki, right?
Right, Sukeroku.
Yeah.
Very cool character.
Sukeroku is the epitome of stylish rebelliousness, known for his stunning clothing, his swagger, his ability to navigate the pleasure quarters with absolute confidence and wit. The historical model for this character, the Sujin ideal, is believed to have been directly drawn from these wealthy, audacious fudasashi. They set the standard for what it meant to be stylish and Edo smart, wealthy, and willing to flaunt it right there in Asakusa.
Okay, so theater, big money. What was the final piece that cemented Asakusa's reputation as, well, the vice and entertainment district?
Hanamachi, the flower towns.
Ah, the pleasure quarters.
Absolutely. The government, keen to centralize all potential sources of moral disorder, relocated the primary pleasure quarter, Yoshiwara, to the Asakusa area after the Great Fire of Mireki in 1657.
So it all got concentrated there.
It was the hat trick. You had the high culture of the Sarakasanza, the booming commerce driven by the Fudasashi, and the legalized, centralized vice district of Yoshiwara, all within walking distance of each other. It created this continuous 24-hour gravitational pull for the entire city.
And this brings us back perfectly to that sacred-secular coexistence, summarized by that classic Edo anecdote about the husband's alibi. I love this one.
It's perhaps the most charming piece of trivia about Asakusa, isn't it? Given the deep reverence the shogunate held for sensoji, it was untouchable. So husbands knew.
They knew the loophole.
Exactly. Telling their wives they were going to sensoji to pray for the family's health was the one excuse that guaranteed them safe passage out of the house.
When in reality,
they were often heading directly to the flourishing Hanamachi in the theater district just behind the temple grounds. The venerable sacred site shielded and, frankly, financially fueled the wildest secular life surrounding it. It was a massive cultural loophole.
I appreciate the honesty of that cultural maneuver. It tells you everything you need to know about the priorities of the Edo townsmen. Okay, we now move into the next era, a period of massive upheaval and modernization, yet Asakusa only grew in prominence somehow. The momentum that Asakusa gained as the undisputed entertainment capital during the Edo period didn't slow down with the Meiji Restoration in 1868. If anything, the Meiji and Taisho eras propelled Asakusa to its true, modern cultural zenith.
Yeah, the government's priorities shifted. It wasn't so much about strict moral control anymore, but more about embracing modernization and Western ideas. The area immediately surrounding the temple was absorbed by the new Tokyo government, leading to its designation as Asakusa Park. And this was a groundbreaking moment. It was officially established as Japan's very first modern city park.
But the core of the park wasn't exactly, trees and benches, was it? It was still theater.
Still theater. The Meiji government consciously engineered the next phase of entertainment, separating it from the temple grounds, much like the shogunate had done before, but with a modern twist. They designated the most crowded area, the Asakusa Park's 6 districts, or Rokuku. This was an artificially created entertainment hub established around 1883.
Rokuku.
And it had a very specific, practical purpose: to relocate and centralize the messy mizamano, the sideshows, curiosity tents, animal shows, and general lowbrow entertainment that had previously clustered in Asakusa Okayama, the grounds directly behind the main temple.
So they were creating a designated zone for fun, but also a buffer zone for fire protection, maybe.
Precisely. To physically separate the sacred temple from the profane entertainment center, the government created a large pond, which was essential for fire prevention running between the main temple complex and the Rokuku area. This engineering move visually and functionally maintained the sacred secular divide while ensuring that the entertainment could thrive without threatening the ancient temple. Smart planning, really.
This artificial district exploded with symbols of modernization. The ultimate landmark defining the Meiji era was the 12-story Ryunkaku, or the 12 stories, a grand brick tower built in 1890, often considered Japan's first skyscraper.
It was a technological marvel. It featured Japan's first electric elevator. Can you imagine?
Wow.
It was the quintessential symbol of modern, high-tech Tokyo. It attracted huge crowds who wanted to climb the stairs or, brave the elevator for a panoramic view of the burgeoning capital. It made Asakusa synonymous with progress, not just tradition.
But the true driver of culture remained the stage, didn't it? We see the rise of the Constanza Theater, Tokiwaza, and the birth of Asakusa Opera.
Asakusa Opera, which took off around 1917, was hugely influential. It was a more affordable, accessible form of Western opera that combined both traditional Japanese performance elements and imported musical styles. The sources highlight shows like Onagun Shusei. This new, dynamic art form didn't just attract audiences, it created a whole phenomenon, the Perigoro fan movement.
Perigoro, literally opera hanger-on or opera gigolo.
Yep.
Okay, who exactly were these people and why were they so culturally significant? Sounds a bit dodgy.
Well, the Perigoros were young, often male, superfans who were intensely devoted to the opera singers, particularly the female stars. They were often bohemian, sometimes poor, but absolutely obsessed with Western culture as filtered through Asakusa Opera. They were known for spending their days just loitering outside the theaters, following the performers, absorbing the atmosphere. They essentially lived and breathed the Asakusa opera scene.
This sounds like the original form of celebrity stalking, but with a cultural bent, like proto-groupies.
Exactly. They were the first major visible fan culture in modern Japan. They established certain fashions, certain mannerisms. The sources even mention famous intellectuals and writers like Miyazawa Kenji, the famous poet and author.
No way.
Yeah, being connected to the Paragora fandom. It highlights that this wasn't just a lowbrow movement, it drew intellectual interest too. They represented the excitement and sometimes manic energy of Taishu-era youth culture.
Sadly, this golden age of opera and skyscrapers was met with immense tragedy during the tumultuous Showa period. The district seemed prone to disaster, didn't it?
Catastrophic setbacks were almost a constant theme.
Yeah.
Even before the Great Kanto earthquake of 1923, there was the 1921 Asakusa Great Fire, which wiped out 1,200 houses.
1,200 houses.
Then the 1923 earthquake hit, causing further structural damage and the subsequent fires. Well, they caused widespread devastation across the district. Just awful.
And this is where the grand symbol of modernity fell. The Ryunkaku.
The Ryunkaku, the 12 stories, yeah. It was half destroyed by the earthquake and had to be torn down. The symbol of Asakusa's Meiji modernity was literally demolished by nature, gone.
Despite the tragedy, the area rebuilt quickly, often with wider, grid-patterned roads to improve fire safety, I read. But the entertainment adapted rather than died out.
Even with the massive rebuilding effort, Asakusa remained the entertainment capital. Shochiku established its powerhouse headquarters there, and the famous revue company, the SKD, Shochiku Kagekidan, performed at the Kokusai Gikiji. Meanwhile, the adult side of entertainment continued to thrive with venues like the Laksa and Frensa, offering strip shows and vaudeville.
The police were clearly uncomfortable with this mixture of high and low culture, weren't they? Leading to direct intervention in the early 1930s with the Ero control regulations.
This is a remarkable piece of social history. In 1930, the police issued these strict morality codes governing every minute detail of the performances in Asakusa's theaters.
Like what?
Everything. From the acceptable length of a dancer's zulus, a kind of specific undergarment, to the amount of skin exposure allowed. Even how stage lighting could be used to silhouette or emphasize a performer.
Wow, that's specific.
Oh, yeah. It demonstrates the government's ongoing, tireless effort to manage the public morality of this intensely vital and perpetually, let's say, lively district.
At the same time, the rise of technology was causing a major disruption in the film world. The first domestic talkie films debuted in 1931. Sound arrives.
That technological shift was an existential crisis for a unique group of performers.
The Benchi. Ah, the movie narrators.
Exactly. These were the star movie narrators of the silent film era. They didn't just read subtitles, they were performers. They interpreted the action, spoke all the characters' voices, added sound effects. They were highly paid, highly recognized artists.
And the rise of sound cinema effectively made their entire profession obsolete overnight.
Pretty much, yeah. The sources indicate that the introduction of talkies led to the sudden unemployment of around 70 benchis in Asakusa alone, just like that.
70 people. Gone.
It's a stark reminder of how rapidly the entertainment ecosystem could collapse, leaving highly skilled performers instantly jobless as the audience shifted to American-style sound films. Brutal.
The area suffered again during the end of World War II, losing critical infrastructure to air raids. Yet, Asakusa's determination to bounce back is legendary.
That resilience is its defining trait, isn't it? The temporary Sensoji main hall was opened just 3 months after the war ended.
3 months? That's incredible.
It shows the community's absolute priority in reviving their spiritual and cultural heart immediately. It had to come back first.
And in the immediate post-war years, Asakusa found another unexpected, if slightly chaotic role, as Japan's largest horse racing town.
It briefly became a true gambling mecca. After the war, poverty and deregulation led to a boom in illegal betting. By 1955, the area had roughly 400 private, informal betting parlors, making it the largest hub for nomia, illegal bookmaking, in the country. It was pure chaos, unregulated, and extremely vibrant.
But that couldn't last.
No. That same year, 1955, the government revised the horse racing law and enforced strict anti-gambling regulations. And those illegal parlors, they disappeared almost instantly. By 1974, a legal off-track betting facility, Wennas Asakusa, was opened, stabilizing that aspect of the area's social life into a regulated form.
This leads us to the critical turning point.
Yeah.
The mid-Showa decline of the 1960s and 70s. This wasn't about fire, war, or earthquake systems.
No, this was entirely about technology and decentralization.
The culprit, television.
The data is undeniable. By 1962, television ownership in Japan surpassed 10 million units. TV completely diversified entertainment. It brought shows, opera, news directly into the home. It fundamentally removed the need for people to trek out to the physical theaters and cinemas of Rokuku.
So the theaters started closing.
They did. They began closing down one by one. The Tokiwaza finally closed its doors in 1991, signaling the end of the theater town designation, really. Simultaneously, we see the rise of powerful sub-centers in western Tokyo, Shinjuku, Shibuya, Kibukuro, pulling away the youth culture, the shopping crowds, the popular focus. Asakusa started to feel old-fashioned. It did. The decline was so significant that local authorities attempted a radical solution. In 1967, the Pawnee Tower observation deck was built right in the Sensoji grounds. It was intended to be the new beacon of tourism, maybe replacing the Ryuenkaku in spirit.
And it was a massive failure.
A very short-lived one. It failed to gain traction and was dismantled just 5 years later due to lack of visitors. For a decade or more, Asakusa truly struggled to define itself against the surging modernity of Western Tokyo. It lost its way for a bit.
But once again, Asakusa demonstrated its incredible resilience, leading us into the modern rebirth of the Heisei and Reiwa eras. And this revival seems driven largely by local initiative, embracing spectacle and tradition together.
The local community efforts were really successful in bringing back major, high-energy events that highlighted the area's vibrant spirit. The Sumida River Fireworks Festival restarted in 1978, drawing massive summer crowds back to the river.
And the Samba Carnival.
And, perhaps most surprisingly, the Asakusa Samba Carnival, a completely unexpected but hugely popular blend of Brazilian culture and downtown Tokyo energy kicked off in 1981. These events injected massive energy and visibility back into the district.
And crucially, modern infrastructure finally solidified its role as a transportation hub, didn't it?
Yes. The older Ginza Line, 1927, and Tobu Railway, 1931, were already there, but they were augmented by the crucial Toei Asakusa Line.
That's the airport line, right?
Right. Provides direct access to Haneda and Narita airports, linking Asakusa directly to the global tourist market. And then the opening of the Tsukube Express, or TX.
TX, yeah.
That connected it not only to Akihabara, but also opened up North Kanto Chiba and Ibaraki, making it a key hub for commuters and domestic tourism from the north. Much better connected now.
The current appeal, then, seems to rely heavily on its contrast with the rest of Tokyo. It offers a kind of time travel experience.
That is its greatest asset today, I think. While Shibuya offers the hyper-modern and Harajuku offers ephemeral trendiness, foreign tourists flock to Asakusa because it meticulously preserves that deep, traditional Edo period atmosphere. It provides the closest experience to stepping back into the Meiji or Taishu eras. And now it has the perfect juxtaposition with the modern icon, the Tokyo Skytree, which is easily viewed from the Sumida River and elsewhere.
Right, you can see it looming.
It perfectly embodies that sacred-secular past-present blend. The city now officially designates it as part of the Ueno-Asakusa Secondary City Center, ensuring its importance as a center of commerce and tourism continues. It found its modern footing.
Okay, we've traced the history from a miracle statue to a modern tourism hub. Now let's get into the physical details and the specific trivia that make exploring Asakusa such a rewarding experience today, starting with that globally recognized entrance, the Kaminarimon.
The Keminarimon, the Thunder Gate. It's famous, yes, but its formal name and the secrets hidden within its structure are often overlooked by tourists rushing to get their selfie taken.
What exactly is its official designation? It's not just the Thunder Gate, is it?
Its formal name is the Fujin Rajinmon, the Wind God and Thunder God Gate.
Fujin Rajinmon.
On the front, facing the crowds, you see Fujin, the Wind God, on the right, and Reijin, the Thunder God, on the left. They stand guard against disaster, specifically wind and thunder, natural forces.
But the real historical secrets, and the reason you should maybe pause inside the gate, are found on the backside.
Precisely. Many people rush past them. On the back of the gate, protecting the temple from within, are two vital water deities. The dragon gods, the female Kinrizu, gold dragon, and the male Tenrizu, heavenly dragon.
Gold dragon and heavenly dragon.
This duality, thunder and wind on the outside, water deities on the inside, is crucial for spiritual balance and protection. And remember, the name of the temple complex itself, Kinrizan Sensoji, Gold Dragon Mountain Sensoji, is derived from the founding legend when a golden dragon appeared. It all connects.
And that massive Great Lantern, the Daishin, it's huge, almost 4 meters high, weighing 700 kilograms, made of paper, right?
Yeah, constructed from hundreds of sheets of Casso paper. It gets replaced regularly. It's a big undertaking. And here's that truly remarkable piece of corporate trivia that binds ancient tradition to post-war industrial might. The current gate structure and the colossal lantern, which were rebuilt and dedicated in 1960, they were not government projects. They were a deeply personal donation by Matsushita Konosuke.
Matsushita Konosuke, the founder of Panasonic.
Exactly. Then known as Matsushita Electric, the founder of a global electronics giant underwriting a 1,400-year-old temple's main symbol. It's astonishing.
Why? Why did he do it?
He made the donation as a profound gesture of thanks. He had suffered from a long chronic illness, and after praying fervently for his recovery at Sensoji, he was cured.
Wow.
He attributed his return to health to the power of the Kannon deity. As thanks, he completely funded the reconstruction. His name is still inscribed on the metal fitting at the base of the lantern today, a permanent link.
That's incredible. And if you look closely at the bottom of the lantern, there is also a detailed dragon carving integrated into the structure.
That carving is critical, again symbolizing the founding dragon god. But more urgently, given that Asakusa was a city built almost entirely of wood and constantly threatened by fire.
Right, the fire.
The dragon, which possesses the power to summon rain, was a constant visual plea for protection against devastating conflagrations. It served as a talisman for the entire district. Praying for rain, basically.
Okay, once past the Kaminari-mon, you enter the heart of commerce. The Nakamizi-duri. This is one of Japan's most famous and certainly oldest shopping streets.
It is considered one of Japan's oldest, stretching about 250 meters and housing 89 shops today. But its origins are rooted in a very specific Edo-era social contract, the permits granted to the locals who performed the duty of cleaning the temple grounds. This duty was known as kyotsu.
So they were literally trading temple cleaning services for prime commercial real estate.
That's exactly right. In exchange for their service maintaining the purity of the sacred grounds, they were given the exclusive right to set up shops along the approach path. This single fact demonstrates the deep, mutually dependent history between the spiritual center and the commercial prosperity of the town. The trade literally grew out of the act of devotion. Amazing, isn't it?
That is amazing. Now, while Nakamizi-duri is the main thoroughfare, the adjacent Denpun-duri captures a more deliberate Edo ambiance with its tiled roofs and detailed historical touches.
Denpun-duri is designed for immersion and curiosity. Visitors should definitely seek out the Jiguchi Yandon. These are street lanterns decorated with witty, often clever Edo-era sayings.
What are you saying?
Yeah, they reflect the kind of sharp wordplay and subtle humor that the Tsujin would have enjoyed back in the day. And keep an eye out for the hidden figures integrated into the architecture and storefronts.
Hidden figures, like what?
Like the infamous thief Nezumi Kozu rat kid perched somewhere. Or the Kabuki heroes. The Shironami Gonin no Toko, 5 Gentlemen of the White Waves. It adds a sense of playfulness and historical immersion. Little Easter eggs.
Fun. Right near there is the Shin Nakamizi, Asakusa's largest arcade. That one's covered, right? Spanning 380 meters, offering everything from traditional fans to modern treats.
Yep, that's the big covered one. But for professional shoppers, especially chefs or restaurant owners, they need to go a bit further to the west.
Ah, yes. We must mention the Kappabashi Dugugai, the kitchen town.
Exactly. Located on the border with Shutaya, this 800-meter-long street is Japan's largest specialized equipment district. It is dedicated entirely to the restaurant and hospitality trade. Famous globally for professional cooking tools, every piece of tableware imaginable, and those incredibly realistic plastic food samples.
The food samples, they're works of art.
They really are. They've become a tourist attraction in themselves. Kappabashi basically services the entire culinary engine of Tokyo. It's fascinating just to walk down.
Okay, before we move to the cuisine itself, let's highlight a few of those delightful trivia nuggets that reinforce Asakusa's unique character. Let's start with a less-known spiritual site, Maichiyama Shuden.
Maichiyama Shuden is fascinating for its very specific and unusual symbols. The daikon radish and the kinshaku pouch.
Radish and pouch?
Yeah, this is another perfect example of the sacred and the secular blending. The daikon, the radish, represents a purification ritual. It's offered to cleanse poisons from the body and symbolizes good health, good marriage, and harmony.
Okay, health and harmony.
And the kinshaku, the little drawstring pouch, symbolizes business prosperity and fortune. So visitors are seeking both spiritual cleansing and material wealth at the same time. A very common practice in Asakusa, covers all the bases.
And we can't forget the oldest theme park in Japan, Asakusa Hanayashiki.
Hanayashiki. It's a fantastic relic of the Taishu and Showa eras. Founded way back in 1853, it started as a botanical garden, believe it or not.
A garden?
Yeah, but it quickly evolved into a showcase for curiosities and eventually a full-fledged amusement park. It offers a distinctly nostalgic experience, including a famed roller coaster.
The oldest one.
Holds the title of Japan's oldest operating roller coaster. It connects directly back to that rowdy Okayama sideshow heritage of the Rokuku area. You can feel the history there.
Then there's the infamous reputation of the Sensoji Omikuji, fortune slips. What's the deal with those?
Yes, the lore is strong here. Sensoji is famous, or perhaps infamous, for the pervasive rumor that the key outcome, bad fortune, is unusually common compared to other temples.
Really? More bad luck?
That's the rumor. So many visitors, almost as a test of fate, come specifically to Sensoji to try their luck and see if the rumors are true. It's like an act of challenging destiny. Dare I pull a fortune here?
Huh. Okay, finally, you called Asakusa the department store of gods earlier. Where do we see that religious inclusiveness and adaptability most clearly?
Look no further than the Nightingale Gate, located on the east side of the temple complex. This gate perfectly illustrates Asakusa's profound, if sometimes chaotic, religious flexibility. Originally, it was the Zuishinmon, housing two Shinto guardian deities. However, following the Meiji Restoration and the mandated separation of Shinto and Buddhism...
Shinto and Buddhism had to split up.
Exactly. Those original Shinto gods were forced to move to the adjacent Asakusa shrine.
So what happened to the gate itself? Left empty?
Almost immediately, the empty gate was commandeered and repurposed by the Buddhist temple. The Shinto guardians were replaced by two Buddhist heavenly kings, Jukukuten and Zuchin, transforming the gate into Nightingale.
Same gate, different gods.
The architecture remained the same, but the gods literally changed overnight to suit the new political and religious landscape. It shows you, if you come to Asakusa, you can truly find a god, a Buddha, a dragon, or a spirit for almost any purpose. Very accommodating.
And since no deep dive into Asakusa is complete without satisfying the appetite, let's wrap up with a gourmet deep dive. This district is packed with centuries of culinary tradition, from high-end beef to street snacks. Where do we start?
The sweets are mandatory. If you're looking for a delicacy, the dorayaki at Kamiju, near the Kaminarimon, are famous. They sell about 3,000 pieces daily.
3,000 dorayaki. What makes them special?
They are prized for moving beyond the typical dense pancake. Their unique recipe uses an egg-heavy batter that produces an incredibly light, fluffy dough, and it's paired with their elegant, homemade sweet bean paste. Really refined.
Okay, fluffy dorayaki. And right next door you have Asakusa Kaketsudu, famous for selling over 3,000 jumbo melon pan every day.
The melon pan here is legendary. That huge, crispy crust and incredibly soft interior. They attribute the success to a painstakingly long, cold fermentation process that takes multiple days.
Slow food melon pan.
It is. Slow food applied to a fast snack. Worth the wait in line.
For a taste of the Meiji era, we must discuss Kamiya Bar. That place looks old.
It is. Established in 1880, it's a registered tangible cultural property and just steeped in history. It is the official birthplace of Denki brand.
Denki brand. Electric brandy.
Electric brandy, yeah. A potent, sweet cocktail blending brandy, gin, wine, herbs, and other secret ingredients. It gained its name, electric, either because of its high proof that delivered a jolt, or because it was invented during the age of electricity. A perfect nod to Asakusa's Meiji-era embrace of technology and Western vices.
Gotta try that sometime. Now, for traditional high-end Edo dining, we have several anchors.
You could start with Komagata Dozu. Founded way back in 1801, they serve classic Edo-style doja dishes.
Doju, that's loach, right? Tiny fish.
Tiny freshwater fish, yeah. Served in a beautiful, traditional merchant house setting, their specialty is dozunabe, a loach hot pot famous for its preparation that renders the tiny fish soft enough to eat whole, bones and all. It is an unvarnished taste of 19th century Edo cuisine, very authentic.
Okay, maybe for the adventurous eater. And if you're looking for luxury, high-end beef.
Then you want Asakusa Imahan. They specialize in sukiyaki using only high-quality Japanese black beef, Kuroge Wagyu. They elevate sukiyaki by focusing intensely on ingredient quality, pairing their premium Wagyu with top-notch ingredients like high-quality shiitake mushrooms and senju scallions, all simmered in that distinctively sweet and savory sauce. It's the kind of high-roller dining the wealthy Fudasashi would have appreciated centuries ago.
Bringing it full circle. Finally, there is the famous social eating hub, Hoppidori. What's the vibe there?
Hoppidori is the ultimate expression of the contemporary Shitamachi downtown atmosphere. It's a bustling row of popular casual taverns right near Sensoji.
Casual, okay. What do they serve?
Renowned for its stewed dishes, and Nikomi, a specialty that changes subtly from shop to shop, but usually involves beef or pork, offal, slowly simmered for hours. Very flavorful.
Nikomi and Hoppi.
And, of course, the hoppy drink itself. It's a low-alcohol beer-like bunridge served as a mixer, often with shochu. It allows patrons to spend hours drinking cheaply. It's famous for being open for day drinking, maintaining that classic laid-back, slightly rowdy energy that defines Asakusa today. Great people watching. #outro, connecting the dots. So, if we summarize the sweep of history we've discussed today, Asakusa's core identity is its profound resilience, isn't it? And its deeply inclusive, energetic nature. It is truly, from the 7th century to the 21st, the department store of gods and entertainment. It's a place where the most sacred temple, the high culture of kabuki, the low culture of the sideshows and strip clubs, and modern commerce have all happily coexisted and always have. This willingness to embrace both extremes, the Sei and the Soku, is why it endured the Edo-era restrictions, the Meiji transformations, the Showa-era disasters, and the modern decline and revival. It just keeps adapting.
And the most compelling takeaway for me might be the origins of its commerce. The fact that Nakamizu-dori, one of the world's oldest shopping streets, was literally founded by people receiving official permits for the duty of cleaning the temple, the Kyosuko-ji. It just shows that the town's economic prosperity and its spiritual heart are not just linked, they are one and the same. One literally feeds the other. That's a truly mutually dependent history. It's quite profound when you think about it.
And this raises an important question, I think, for you, the listener, to consider. As global tourism continues to grow and moves at such a fast pace, how will Asakusa balance the preservation of its deep, layered history? You know, the complex stories of Sarawakuchu, the Fudasashi, the Perigoro fan movement, the rise and fall of opera. How do you balance preserving that depth with the rapid demands of the modern tourist industry that tends to focus only on the surface appeal of the Kamenarimon and the food stalls?
Yeah.
Preserving the depth beneath the surface. That's the next great challenge for this historic district, I reckon.
That's a wonderful point to reflect on the next time you visit. We really encourage you to seek out the specific details we discussed today. Go beyond the surface. Look up the history of the Perigoro fan movement. Maybe try the dojo at Komagata Dozo if you're feeling brave, or even test your luck against the notorious Sensoji Omikuji bad fortune slips. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Asakusa, from its sacred river origins to its status as a global tourism hub. See you next time.